So, if you guys don't know me, my name is Priti Kunyal and I am in Canada since 2018 and living and working in Toronto. I also run my own consultancy itself, so if you need help with your queries related to student work or PR, reach out to me. The emails are in the description. Let's talk about what exactly happened in 2020 compared to 2024. Why there has been a sudden shift, a switch with influx of immigrants coming into the country and creating more chaos for the people who genuinely came over here. So now, I'm not going to be dramatic or overly exaggerating on some factors, but yes, there has been some reasons where a famous newspaper in Toronto, which is Toronto Star, generated this report, and they gave a idea about what does this graph actually looks about. So now if you see the green part, which says that 60% of the visas were actually accepted in the first to second shot, and 40% of the visas, which were the temporary residence visa, they were rejected on the second to fourth trial also. So that means someone didn't listen what the IRCC members were trying to tell them, because they just implemented, or their agents actually went forward and framed an application that did no good for them. Now, if you want to look at the metrics, which I'm also going to post over here, it showed that the pre-COVID acceptance rate was about 85%. So that means out of 100 students applying on a daily basis, 85 were the maximum capacity that were generated a yes. But when the current rejection rate at that time was only about 40%. This is the graph that shows up in 2020, and that actually created a much more relief for students because they were already in Canada and living their dream life. I gotta take a Canadian visa rejection itself is the misleading and half documents. I know currently we are not doing any background checks, or IRCC doesn't bother to do that background checks, but it is going to change very soon. So coming to Canada is going to be completely harder because it's not that kind of a nation that it was in 2014 to 2018. What you got to do is whatever you have done, regardless of whatever with the patients itself you have done in the country, which is basically you're coming from anywhere abroad, you got to make sure that you are putting up the right documentation, because these documents also reverse and put your effect into your permanent residency. Now, it's not going to happen whatever you put over here as a study permit, you're going to reverse that and change completely or add details over here during your permanent residency application, because that's going to create more red flag. So number one, do not fail a subject even in your bachelor's or master's. And second thing, it would be that you need to go ahead and create better paperwork, better IELTS, which is definitely the biggest reason a lot of the visas actually get rejected. And I'm going to talk about how you can actually improve the scores itself in coming videos. Now imagine this, if you're coming to Canada, you will be planning about this in a year advance. Right? It's not going to happen overnight itself that one night you wake up and you decided let's move to a country and let's start a life. That never is accepted, and that is not even practical. You need to first and foremost have the main thing in your account is the funds. Now, usually like what we do, we borrow the funds from the banking structure or from our friends and family, relatives, and then we actually return them back. Make a plan that you put these funds into your account and do not touch them, or even if you touch them, you put that reverse it. That means that if you're taking out 20,000, 30,000 rupees a month, you put that amount back into it so that you have a leverage that the money was coming out and the money was coming in. So that way, like, as an IRCC officers, they are much more sure that yes, this was a legal transaction and there are funds involved. Now, it will be different comparatively because the GIC moved from $10,000 to $20,000. Your living expenses actually went up from $10,000 a month. Yeah, that is true. 10,000 a month. You will be shocked, but Toronto is super expensive. Canada overall is super expensive. So you got to make sure that if you are planning not to get a job in another 6-7 months, you have a sufficient fund into your account, because your living cost is going to be higher. Your monthly bills are going to be higher. You're always going to be like, using your credit cards. If you're not filling up, the interest rate is going to kick you. But definitely you can survive on $3,000 to $4,000 also, which is a very good amount. Okay, now you got to make sure that how you do it. We're going to be talking about that in the coming few videos. Number 3 reason that most of the people actually fail is the academics. So guys, if you are planning to take a course called Global Business Management, which at least you do not, it is one of the cash cow courses. Okay, I've said that. I have said that. There is no skill set involved with this. There is nothing that you can actually do, because at the end of the day, you still need to do some certifications if you're going forward with another fields and planning to switch your career or move with a better assessment. The problem over here is that a lot of people do not know about certification. So if you want to have an idea, book a consultation call with me. I do charge a minimal amount itself, but I will give you that guidance, because at the end of the day, the guidance is the king and knowledge is power. Do not come after an IT course for a supply chain management or something for a global business management or international business management, because it's not going to help you out. What are you going to learn in these courses? At least implement, do some research itself. And now, if I tell you, there are tons of courses. You can go on Apply Board Direct, make an account, and get to know the agent itself. Again, the video is not sponsored, but you can actually make your way and move ahead from there. Mostly people do not see a problem with or feel like, this wasn't supposed to be a reason. It's the travel history. Guys, if you are coming out of this country at the age of 24, 25 and you have never even been outside of your state, that's the biggest red flag. Okay, the IRCC is gonna look at it and they'll be like, if he hasn't traveled within the provinces or the state itself, how does he plan to move ahead with such big responsibility and living all by himself? So make sure you travel a bit, do some international trips, do some national trips, because at the end of the day, life is all about enjoying. It's not about grinding crazily and hating on yourself and the people around. So whatever you do with best approaches. Definitely all these reasons could be generated and be made feasible and acceptable into a statement called statement of work. Imagine this, you're putting 30 lakhs rupees, which is basically about 50 to 60,000 Canadian dollars into your education. Imagine that. You need to have some acceptance and betterment for yourself. Aim into an SOP. SOPs are the most important things that can actually help you out in order to tell about your story to a person who's reading it. When you frame up an application itself, it goes to a random person. If that random person sees all your documentation and if he doesn't see a strong SOP, that's a guaranteed rejection. So make sure that you are putting all this effort into bettering yourself, into SOPs, and moving ahead from there. These are some reasons that your visa could get rejected, but how do you prevent these rejections? How do you move ahead with it? And if it is something that's Canada, US, New Zealand, UK, anywhere around the globe that you want to go, but you're feeling daunted, you're feeling like, cannot do this. Do not feel like that, because everyone was in that same boat when they were doing that journey for themselves. I was in that same boat when I was framing my application. So, number 1 step, how to prevent all of these rejections in your application is submit a full application. Guys, start off with your high school certifications, diploma, your mark sheets itself, move into your college. get a semester-wise breakdown, a graduation letter, get your IELTS score, SAPIT, PTE, and then move ahead with a statement of purpose. You gotta fill out, it's all an automated process, it's all an automatic application. Yes, there are still people coming legally into the country and benefiting from it, but if you're feeling, yes, you're down the drain itself, you are under the ground, you are under the water, make sure that you come forward to me, and me and my team is going to help you out with submitting your application. Number 2 you can do is define or demonstrate sufficient amount of funds. This is the most important, because these funds, what you are showing and what you have put up into a Canadian account other than your GIC, is going to help you out over here. You can withdraw those funds, you can move ahead with it. You guys need to understand that these things actually take time. Your patience actually builds up your character itself, and that's what you have to understand over here. Number 3 reason, which is the most important thing, is show genuine work. Now, if you're working into your graduation, if you have worked after graduation, you have 1 or 2 years of experience or a gap because you were accepting let's say CAT, MAT, GMAT, like, you were appearing for these high-end exams or certifications, make sure you justify that in your application. Do not show up that you were into some kind of a fake work or internships or anything that that demands is not actually accepted by the government or the people, because at the end of the day, as I said, it's still going to a person who doesn't know you. So you want to make that story better appealing for yourself so that it actually justifies. And the same thing you have to continue with your PR application. That will be the most important. So if you want that thing not to bother you, come ahead, grab a session, let's set up over the Zoom meeting. I'm pretty sure you're gonna love it. How to find me? Go over my Instagram itself, follow me, hit that like button, and at the end of the day, let's be uniquely classified but ununiquely diversified. Take care.